We are, as you can tell, we're talking about wonder. And wonder everywhere is part of our monthly and our annual theme to talk about living everyday wonder. What's wonderful, if you don't get the Science of Mind magazine, I recommend that you start taking it. It's great articles. It's got daily affirmations and a little story and a little thing to just a spiritual reflection kind of thing, like what the practitioners do. But they're also following the same themes we're doing all year long. So this month they're doing Living Everyday Wonder. And so there's articles about that, all the articles about it. And so it's great to have it. And we have copies of the Science of Mind magazine here. It's also at Copperfield's over on First Street. And you can order it online as well. I have mine on my Kindle. It's the easiest way I find to read everything. So when we talk about this idea of wonder, there's many ways to look at it. Yes, wonder and awe, like that's the most obvious thing. And I have found being around Napa this winter is extraordinary because, yes, the leaves have fallen. You can see the bare limbs and silhouetted branches, yet the ground is green and the grass is growing. We've had rain, we've had sun, and it's not that cold. I was on a call with a friend this week, and I was going, yeah, it's been kind of cold lately, and she goes, what, down to 40 degrees? She goes, it's minus 38 degrees here in Canada. I'm going, oh, I'm just going to be quiet now. So it's all relative. Actually, it's living in Colorado for 30 years. I know it's pleasant here. Even when it's cool at night, it's still reasonable. It dips down occasionally, but also this wonder is something that if I wonder about something, if I'm curious about something, I'm not as likely to be in judgment about something, that I'm seeking to understand rather than to be understood. Instead of leading with judgment, or if I notice myself judging either myself or a situation I'm in, or somebody else or a situation they're in, I turn to being curious about that. Now, that's not leading with judgment like, oh, why did you do that? Or why did I do that? It's about understanding that person and what came about and who they are and their values that are important. And then it's also wondering in a way of asking the universe. I talked about that last week, opening up to the universe and just wondering how, what is seeking to emerge through you in any situation. I love what we had a visioning workshop yesterday, and we had a video by Dr. Michael Beckwith that founded the Agape Center in Los Angeles. He's been on a lot of television shows like Oprah and different things, was in The Secret and other things. But I loved what he had to say about, got to remember which way is my slide, and it's still not moving for some reason. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, that's why. Hang on just a minute. Technical problems here. No. All right. Uno momento. Maybe I just have to. Sorry. There we go. So he said, behind every problem, there's a question trying to ask itself. And behind every question, there's an answer trying to reveal itself. I love this. So whatever we're facing in life, that there is something behind that. There's this question that's seeking to emerge from it, and that there's an answer the universe is willing to fill in. If we wonder, if we're willing to ask, if we're willing to be, boy, I don't know, I've not been in this situation before, show me a way. How can I be present with this situation? How can I shed light on this? How can I be present with this person that really frustrates me right now? It can be that. Just seeking patience and understanding, or just being present with life itself. And he goes on to say, behind every answer, so behind every question, there's an answer trying to reveal itself. Behind every answer, there's an action trying to take place. And behind that action, there's a way of life trying to be born. Wow. So if you start at the beginning, every problem, there's a way of life seeking to be born. If we're willing to wander, willing to question, willing to be open to what that is. As we step into what we call this new thought, this includes Centers for Spiritual Living, Independent Religious Science, Unity Churches, this new thought umbrella, a lot of people take it down to the simplest form and talk about something like spiritual laws like the law of attraction. The law of attraction is a great thing. It's talking about our consciousness, our thinking creates our life, but there's a limitation to it because you can overthink things or overanalyze things or over-wonder about how you created something. I tend to focus on more about what I would call the law of receptivity or the law of alignment. So in any particular situation I have, I want to reopen, reconnect, realign myself so I'm open to creating a new experience in my life. To be in harmony, so whenever we have a disconnection, a disharmony, a dis-ease in our bodies or in our awareness, we wonder what we can do to be receptive to a greater good, to a healing, to a wholeness, to that which we know is God that is around us. We want to create, we want to experience Spirit within us, the heaven within us, and manifest it on earth as in heaven, as above, so below, as in heaven, on earth. And I think the best way to do that is through curiosity. Now, when we think about curiosity, we often think about a child who there's joy and wonder everywhere. You see the world through the eyes of the child. And yet we also know that just being childlike, we also want to bring in the abilities of wisdom and consciousness that we have as an adult and with the eyes of the child to be in the beginning. And I talked about them, Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu last week. They just, you can't think of any people more wise than they are. We honor Desmond Tutu as he's passed this earth, but his wisdom lingers on, the Dalai Lama, and yet they're so joyful and present with each other and having fun. And if we're, I'm seeking to play a movie probably early February that's about their lives and about the time they had together. So keep tuned for that. I'm still trying to get the licensing for that movie. But I also know is when we wander, when we take time to wonder or wander, either one, that we find this blessing. We find wonder. We find something greater that's opening up to us. So as we turn to this wandering, we can orient towards this wonder. This week as I walked through this, I just started thinking about things I could wonder about. So the first thing is, I wonder if my life was less full. I wonder if my life was less full, what it would be. My experience is often my mind is full, I'm busy, rather than being mindful, so that it becomes more like this. Am I mindful or mindful? But when I am mindful, I am more present with what's inside of me. Incomplete feelings I might have of regret or an unforgiveness or a sadness, or perhaps thoughts and beliefs that are false, that are simply not true. And if I stay busy, I don't notice them. But when I slow down, so I'm present with what's going on, I can be doing things and still be mindful. But I notice maybe I have a thought of being unworthy or not lovable or not forgivable or whatever. And I can pull that out and go, that's not true. I am whole, complete, and a healthy expression of the divine. And I know that's the truth of who I am. It's not that false belief that comes through, but if I stay busy enough, and sometimes in my past life, I stayed busy so that I wouldn't have to feel those, right? Because they're uncomfortable to move through them, to notice them and go, oh gosh, that was back, when I was a kid, and it doesn't matter, exact cause doesn't matter. You just notice it and just say, that's not true. That's not true. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm clearing up some space in my life, that, that, like in my garage, there's bins of things that, I think at one point they had some purpose. I think they're going to have some purpose later on, perhaps, or I want to donate them to something, or I might need something in there. But it's got to be such a clutter in my garage, and yet I'm quite used to it. It's a fixture in my garage, but I don't even notice it when I go in there. It's just like, oh, that's what it is. I've accepted it as the way it is. And I think we do that with our own emotions and our own thoughts, that, oh, that's just who I am. This is going to be the way life is. I accept it. When we can let go of the fullness of our minds, of our soul, and empty it out and surrender, we can find some gems in there. And also, we can't be, just like my garage, I'm cleaning it out this week, and I'm just going to let things go and not be attached where they go, like finding, oh, so-and-so would love this book. I'm just going to let it go. I need to clear it out so there's room for me, for my joy, my wonder, my curiosity. Because I know when I clear out what clutters my space, that we can create room for what we want to experience on all levels, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. We can create room for what we want to experience. So I'm going to simultaneously declutter my garage while also setting intentions around decluttering my life. Now, what's interesting is, like I talked about before, about questions about things, what I notice is when I set an intention, the universe shows up to remind me of my intentions, right? This week, even my phone tried to tell me, let's free up some space. Have you ever had that on your phone? So it was a reminder, I need to free up some space in my life. That's my intention for 2022, is space. Space between things, space between my thoughts, space between, just space to be. So it's great to have a phone that gives me notification that I need to free up some space. But I encourage us all to take an inventory of life, and that notice that we can tell the same stories, the same thoughts, and we're recycling those when we really just need to let them go and let them, we can tell ourselves the truth that's there. One of my favorite authors, Wayne Mueller, wrote a book called The Life of Being, Having, and Doing Enough. Being and having and doing enough. What if our life had so much space in it that we recognized that we were enough, and we do enough? Because sometimes we keep doing and doing and doing, so we won't feel that we might not be enough. The truth is, we are enough in every way, in relationships, in tasks we do, in just our beingness. We are more than enough, because we are this divine expression of life itself. The other thing I wanted to begin to wonder about this week is, I wonder if instead of judgment, I turn to wonder. Instead of judging somebody or judging myself, what if I just went to a curiosity? Carl Jung said, thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. And also Walt Whitman, the poet, said, don't judge, be curious instead. So I want to take the time to be mindful and aware. And I know this is a time in our country when there's a lot of division, socially and politically. And I know sometimes somebody will make a statement and I want to tell them what I think about it. And instead, what I want to turn to is understanding, because my opinion probably won't change their opinion anyway. But I want to understand them, to hear what values, what in their life brought about the opinions they have, because usually it comes from a deep need of theirs, a value of theirs. It's important for them. And if we are able to hear that, they might be willing to hear something else too, to open to it. And I think this is also about ourselves, about our self-judgment about a situation we might be in, that we judge it as being bad, or we judge it as not healthy. And that may be, and we maybe want to make choices out of it, but if we want to create something different, we need to be willing to understand that. We're willing to wonder about it. The truth is, all things are evolving and unfolding. And what if we just assumed it's going to turn out all right? If you turn to yourself, some problem you had 20 years ago, what advice would you give to yourself 20 years ago when that, right then, 20 years ago, that was all you could think of? It was such a big problem, a big situation. Or maybe some of you are younger than I am. Maybe it's 10 years ago. But either way, generally, most people I know would tell them not to worry about it so much, that things are going to turn out okay. What if you told yourself about your situation now? Things are going to be okay. They really are. God, through you, is healing and creating a greater understanding. Parker Palmer is one of my favorite writers. He's a Quaker, and he has this peaceful way of writing. And he talks about curiosity a lot, turning to wonder. And here's a picture of him and his granddaughter. Naya is her name. And he said in this photo, he wrote a blog about it, that she's 6 in this picture, that she is explaining one of life's many mysteries. And he puts in parentheses, the mystery in question involves turtles. And since Naya is the only one who can explain it, I won't even try here. But he says to me, this picture says, Grandpa, I'm trying to keep talking until you get it. And Parker Palmer, being the compassionate person, was willing to listen, to understand the truth. Now, from a rational mind, I'm sure what she's saying about turtles makes no sense at all. And yet, for her, it's everything. It's her world right now. It's her understanding of the meaning and purpose of life, and it's about turtles and how beautiful it is that we can be curious enough to listen to what's going on with another person, or be willing to be curious enough to know that life is evolving and unfolding for us in perfect ways, and allow ourselves this greater truth that we have. And finally, my last wondering that I've been doing this week is wondering what would happen if we stand on the growing edge, our own growing edge. It's uncomfortable to stand on the edge of anything. We tend to want to stay in our comfort zone, where there's plenty of room around us and we know everything is, but to stand out on the growing edge is our area of curiosity, our area of wondering. We don't know what the next step is. We are not sure. But this is where we're going to learn about it, is right here, a willingness to ask, a willingness to explore, a willingness to have a conversation with someone that's difficult. That is about, I don't know how to talk about this right now, but this is my experience of this situation. What is your experience of this situation? Not, I tend to have conversations planned out when they're going to be difficult conversations. I don't know about you. I'm going to let that go, and I just want to be present with someone when I have something that I need to talk about, or I need to understand, I need to hear what their experience of this situation is. Kurt Vonnegut, the writer, says, I want to stand as close to the edge as I can without going over. Out on the edge, you see all kinds of things you can't see from the center. So it's on the growing edge that we can find what is really unfolding in us, what is unfolding in a friendship, a family relationship, what is unfolding in our consciousness, what is unfolding in our health, or in our work situations, to step out on the edge and explore what if. What I love about this area is that wonder can reveal oneness, can reveal, because out on the edge we're surrendering to Spirit. We're allowing Spirit to come through. We're asking the universe, like, show me a way. I don't know how to do this. Or we're exploring something in a relationship. And this turns to clarify things. Now, some conversations may not go as well as we hope they do, but it's a process of unfolding. Because sometimes things need to be let go. Sometimes things are broken and they need to be let go in order for wholeness to be experienced by all people. But what I know and what I love about this community and about all New Thought, all Unity, Centers for Spiritual Living is we are natural seekers. That's what really, if you were to describe us, we are people that wander naturally. We wander and wonder naturally. We are seekers. We are curious. And this curiosity leads us to a greater experience of the divine, a greater experience in our lives of joy and love. And what I also know is we are based on ancient wisdom. And this ancient wisdom tells us the same thing, that wonder leads us into oneness. The ancient Sanskrit truth, Tat Tavam Asi, says, I am that. The African philosophy, Ubuntu, I am because we are. The Mayan percept, Latek, you are my other me. And Valerie Carr, who is a Sikh, and she talks about in her book, See No Stranger, she talks about the Sikh philosophy that is an ancient philosophy as well. And her leader talked about the phrase, see no stranger. So we know, see no stranger, and she says that you are a part of me I don't know yet. You are a part of me I don't know yet in this connection. And then a couple weeks ago I talked about Jackie Lewis and her fierce love. So while it's ancient wisdom, there are modern writers and thinkers that are, some are New Thought and some are progressive Christians, some are progressive Sikhs, some are progressive Jews, Muslims, that we are all coming together to find this place of oneness that leads us into a greater truth that we can explore. But the only place we're going to find that is on this growing edge. So Howard Thurman, the great philosopher, says, look well to the growing edge. All around us, worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. The fruit ripens on the tree, the roots are silent, at work in the darkness of the earth, against a time when there shall be new lives, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. So all life is dying and all life is being born. So let's just go back to this idea. Behind every problem, there is a question trying to ask itself. Behind every question, there's an answer trying to reveal itself. Behind every answer, there's an action trying to take place. And behind every action, there is a way of life trying to be born. And the way we can allow that to be born, the window for allowing our lives to continue and evolve and unfold, is wonder. To be curious. To be like a child in awe and to be conscious and mindful in all that we do. Let us go to prayer. The truth, I know, is life itself. That is seeking to be born through us, seeking to reveal itself through a question, through an answer, through that which is seeking to be born through us. So what I know is right now is we are aware that there's only Spirit that surrounds us and is us. And we know in the coming days that Spirit moves in and through us and is this answer, is this beauty, is this love, is this wonder. And it is this we are so, so grateful for. As we release our words into the law, knowing it is already so. And so it is.